Up next, we are going to have a panel discussion here, and this is going to be a topic about the future of financial services with AI, ML, and FinTech. We are going to call upon our moderators onto the stage. And of course, first and foremost, I'd like to mention Mr. Mohammad Ashfaq-Ur-Rehman, who's going to be joining us on the stage here. He's an experienced financial leader and founder of FinMal, simplifying the financial ecosystem with profitable growth and seamless digital transactions. Along with him is going to be Mr. Jonathan Seifert. He's the head of FinTech ecosystem of Reveal. He's a finance and partnership expert, empowering FinTech companies to thrive in the dynamic industry. We'd also like to invite Mr. Atul Monga, who's the founder of Basic Home Loan, an accomplished professional with diverse experience raising capital for prominent FinTech companies. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our three moderators and guests to talk about the future of financial services with AI, ML, and FinTech.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. All right, so my name is Mohammad Ashfaq-Ur-Rehman. I'm the founder and CEO of FinMal. In addition to that stuff, I also advise and mentor startups and financial institutions. By background, I'm a banker, insurance, management consultant, and advisor. In addition to the startup world that I jumped into it 5-6 years ago. Difficult to, part yourself from the corporate cubicles, but I did that actually after spending almost 20 years in the corporate world, All right, I am really glad and I'm honored, privileged to be invited to moderate this session. Thank you very much for the organizer. And I'm joined by an amazing panel. We were supposed to have a couple of more panelists, but unfortunately they couldn't make it. So hope we will do the justice for the session. Yeah, the future of financial services with AI, ML, and FinTech. So I would also cover the DL as well, like the deep learning element also, because AI is subset of the DL. And blockchain is also something which is connected, I guess. We shouldn't miss that part also. But whatever we can bring in as part of our discussion would be great. So before we really delve into the session, the topic of the future of financial services with AI, ML, and FinTech, I like to say something, a couple of words on the technology part. What I believe is technology is eating up everything. So, am I right? The software is eating up everything. Almost it's touching almost every segment of our life, Whether it's within the financial service industry, you name anything. Whether you take mortgages or you take like personalized financial services, credit scoring, underwriting, automated customer service, you name anything. Everything is touched by the technologies now. That is one thing. Another thing is that technology is also neutralizing the competition across industries, across companies. What does that mean? That means a company which is old or a new company. Now, the new company or a smaller company can catch up because of the technology. So that is something really good for anyone who is actually embracing technology in their institution, financial institution. I don't really like to actually spend more time on this, but because we have a really amazing panel here, actually, Jonathan and Atul, I'm sure their background and their experience is rich enough actually to enlighten us with their what their experience is and how they're doing it. So first, a little intro, I guess, to start up with Atul, and then we can actually get into the real topic later on. Yeah, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Atul here, and I'm the founder of Basic Home Loan. I started my career as an investment banker, just like him, and then turned into an entrepreneur a few years back. And at Basic, we are primarily trying to solve the problem of housing in India, affordable housing. You must have seen Slumdog Millionaire. We want that those kind of movies don't come out of India. When slums is a problem in India, we're trying to solve it. And the idea is that, India is the 7th largest country in the world, so we have enough land. There are 110 banks in India and housing finance companies in India who are ready to lend to customers, and they're not able to find the customer. those who are ready to repay, banks are not able to find them. But those who don't want to repay, banks actually lend to them. So that's a problem, especially in India, especially in developing countries. We're trying to solve it by being a bridge between the lender as well as the customer. It's been a fantastic journey from past 3 years, and we'll be speaking more about our experiences with the modern technologies. As we go on the discussion. Over to you, Jonathan.
Thank you. So my name is Jonathan Seifert. I'm the head of fintech ecosystems at Reveal. And Reveal isn't obviously a fintech company in and of itself. Reveal is a collaborative growth platform in the sense of what our goal is. How can we identify where businesses can grow the most? And as you said, that's the software that we have now is really what allows small businesses to catch up. Whether you're working in a niche space or you're solving an individual problem, being unique in that space will allow you to really catch up to some of the larger players out there. And that's what Reveal's whole goal is how can we empower companies to grow much faster? And my background being in banking, being in finance, obviously is targeted towards the finance and fintech ecosystem. So how can I help these startups grow at an unprecedented rate?
That's a really good experience. So you mentioned 110 banks like in India, right?
Give or take.
Wow. In UAE alone, actually, we have more than 50 banks, right? Look at the population size of India and the UAE, actually. That's really impressive. But it's really good, actually, because the size of the banks, it's mortgages banks, maybe just...
No, I'm banks and housing finance companies. I'm talking about Indian origin banks. I'm not talking about international banks. So if you add them, it will be a different number.
Okay, wonderful. Excellent. All right. So, Jonathan, let's start with the fun stuff now. Actually, let me ask you a few questions, right? How can collaboration between traditional financial institutions, fintech startups, and AI/ML experts drive innovation and shape the future of financial services?
There's many ways. So I think that with the emergence of AI and machine learning, what we're going to end up seeing is that there's going to be a large shift in the sense that the way, I guess, raw data is refined, collected, and reported on. So I think that within an organization, finance teams themselves are going to slowly start to pull away from running reports every quarter. And I think that these algorithms, these bots, these chat boxes that are going to come in are going to replace a lot of this, what's looked at now as medial and tedious work of, okay, we have to pull this report. So I think we'll see a very large increase on the side of data scientists and people to make sure that these bots and algorithms are working properly. And that will allow anyone within a finance team to focus on things that are mission critical and what will return value to my business, to my ecosystem, to my team, rather than be stuck pulling reports. So I don't think Excel will be as prevalent in a finance team in the next 5 years as it is today.
Atul, how do AI and ML contribute to more accurate risk assessment and fraud detection in the financial industry, particularly considering your background coming from the investment banking and also doing mortgages? So with technology, there's a lot of the element of fraud detection and risk assessment. So how do you see it?
See, I believe these modern technologies will help in three primary ways. Number one, it will help the companies in finding new customers. These customers can be people who are underbanked, who are currently not having access to financial services. Secondly, they will help in improving product quality for the existing customers. And thirdly, obviously, they will provide the better customer service. Now, in this, risk assessment is one of the parts. Now, if you see in affordable housing sector where we operate, if you go to India, people are looking for small houses or looking for loans for them. They might not be having proper documents. They might not have income statements. They don't have salary slips. So with AI or machine learning, you can analyze various other data points to come up with a score, a credit score. People are working on it. There are many companies globally who have come up with an alternate score for lending. So that can be one thing. Secondly, even for the risk assessment, with this, say in mortgages only, with blockchain, you can have this linked ledgers where you can have better quality or better test of the property ownership. That will help you in your risk assessment. Then again, through this social media networks using AI and machine learning algorithms, you can find suspicious contacts and you can do better risk assessment of the customer, whether he's linked to some suspicious person or not. So these kind of technologies will actually help in improving the risk assessment done by traditional banks. And again, it will definitely improve the TAT also, because everything is driven through data rather than a man sitting at a desk and analyzing everything offline way. So it will improve customer experience, it will improve TAT, and it will definitely make the risk assessment more strong for the banks or the lenders.
Just adding on to this, would it also have impact on the NPLs?
Yeah, sure. Means obviously, if your lending is better, your risk assessment is better, your NPS will go down. And NPLs, as you call in India, we call it as NPAs. So NPLs will go down. So if you see today, it's all subjective. A person is sitting with all the documents of the customer in a bank, and he has to make a call. It depends on his experience. It depends on his skill, whether he should give loan or not. But when this thing is transferred to database decisioning, then any Tom, Dick or Harry can take their call, because it's coming out of machine. It's standardized across everywhere, rather than a person sitting and making a call for the customer.
This is really interesting, actually. To me, actually, it's not technology. It's not that how better system laid out you have in the institution, but it's more of a trust element. I'm aware of a microfinance firm which claim to have 99.9% kind of success rate, or in terms of they don't have a defaults on their loans. And that is and I tried to study their model, and it was revealed to me that because it's more driven on a community base or trust base, so that's why people actually they feel pride in paying back rather than like running away from money. And then the whole community is involved, so they cannot run. And there's an interesting fact, like the person was telling me that if somebody actually delays the payment, so they actually name and shame kind of concept like comes in. Actually, they would announce on a speaker, actually, oh, Mr. So-and-so, can you please return this much money? You missed that payment like last month, So that is another way up. So their rate was like 99.9%. This is amazing. All right. So Jonathan.
I'll just add one thing there.
Yes.
See, again, from the Indian context, I'm not sure about other countries. Means people who are in a salary or in a income group, you can say blue collar worker, they might not have enough money, but they are very proud people. They have huge egos. They don't want people naming or shaming them. So if you try to include that element into your lending or insurance or any other kind of financial services product, chances are that you will find a better customer.
All right. So, Jonathan, just moving on to this topic of fraud detection and risk assessment. Now, what are the potential risks and challenges associated with implementing AI and ML in financial services, such as data privacy and security concern? Because that's the big piece for financial institution.
Yeah, I think no matter how you cut it, that poses a risk, because what financial institutions and fintechs are known for is how well they're regulated, how secure they are, and that's one of their key selling points. So now we're introducing something that is either built from the ground up within, but for most part, if we look at the emergence of ChatGPT and that side of thing, that is a third-party company that's getting access to your data through a non-standardized API. So I think that the first step in order to having a secure integration for machine learning and AI is there has to be a standardized API token system. It's not something that we have right now across the board. And without that, we're not going to be able to securely share data and know exactly how things happen, because without that standardization, that's where things will fall through the cracks. So I think by creating a standardized API system for AI and ML going into fintechs and finance, that will eliminate some of the risks where we'll be able to make sure things are more secure. But I think it'll also, once we can get around that, I think there's an extreme amount of positives behind it, because there is nothing else like pattern recognition to AI. You cannot compare it. Nothing will ever get there. No human will be able to build something out like that. So it's an algorithm that consistently learns that it can detect fraud in a fraction of times that it would take for a human or the systems that we have now. So I think that once we can get around to building a way to securely bring information in, how can that be consistently monitored to avoid breaches? I think that's when we'll start to see the benefits of how can AI, ML, blockchain truly help keep data secure and prevent fraud.
You mentioned about the Chat GPT. So I have my own version of the understanding of Chat GPT, right? So it's being a bot of the AI, right? Now, Chat GPT, there is a term that I just figured out, like, so helping underdogs and limiting vanguard. So helping underdog means like, people, those who are left behind, or perhaps they are a little bit behind in terms of technology embracement and adoption. So it's really truly helping them actually, be it contents creation, be it like, kind of email drafting and whatever is the case. But on the other side, from a cognitive ability of the human minds, actually, I am actually seeing a kind of a limitation, in terms of the creativity element. Because if I start using Chat GPT for my every other thing, the creative part or the innovative part of my brain is actually going to be actually limited, from really the human intelligence viewpoint. So do you see the same way, or do you think the different way?
I mean, that's what people said years ago about calculators, right? Is that, oh, well, if you use a calculator in school, you'll never be able to do mental math. And that the reality is very true. Very true that if you, like, I have a 15-year-old brother, and he is terrible at math because he grew up with his phone, having his calculator right there. And that's just how some people are. So I think that, yes, at the end of the day, it could be detrimental, but it could also give more people access to the creative side. If people have grown up without, creativeness for whether it be writing stories or anything like that, that's a great way for them to get personalized stories. So to every aspect of it could be detrimental to one's own creativity. I think it's about how the software, how the technology is used within.
No, it's really interesting, feedback. Atul, do you agree with the same statement, or do you have a different connotation of the Chat GPT?
I'll just say that energy cannot be created, it can be transferred to another form. So similarly, creativity can be transferred. Now, the prompt engineering, the prompt which you have to write is again a form of creativity. Means, I'll give an example of Google. Earlier, people used to go and, go to libraries, read books, and then did their research. Now, on Google, again, you get the data, but how to, implement it? You have to use some creativity. Definitely, it will become more easier, but new kind of creative jobs will come up, like, the prompt writers, or people will be building new products like Midjourney. If you see, means they are building complete pictures or, these paintings online. So, yeah, means as the tech advances, I believe overall there will be much more avenues of, to show creativity, to come up with new ideas. And, human beings will keep on evolving. I can only say that. But yeah, there will be new avenues where people will have to use their mind. You will have to be more productive over there.
Wonderful. Okay, so taking that into now the picture, the ethical aspect of the Chat GPT or the AI particularly, are there any ethical consideration to be taken into account when deploying AI and ML in financial services?
See, from the essence of it, in financial services, ethics should be there because we're dealing with money, and you should be ethical. And see, with AI and ML, the thing is, it's all about data. So there is a big problem of bias. So the first thing which you have to be ethical about is that the data which you are using to train that AI model or machine learning model should be diverse. It should not be discriminative, so that the outputs should be fair for everyone. Secondly, there should be transparency, I believe, that, how the systems are working, how the AI algorithm is working. Customers should have, proper knowledge about it, that how the recommendations are being shown, and especially the regulators, so that they can at least monitor the work of the financial institution. And third, obviously, the data security things which you mentioned, it should be taken, very seriously, and proper customer consent and their approval should be there to use that in your data systems. So yeah, ethics are important, and these are few points which people should keep in mind while building these AI or ML models.
All right. So this brings us to another question, which is, Jonathan, how can a traditional financial institution adapt and integrate AI, ML, and fintech innovation into their existing systems and processes?
I think that what's going to end up happening is that as we progress and as we go into so many new fintechs and different machine learnings come out and they work in very niche areas, what we'll end up seeing is that these traditional finance companies, whether it be bank or insurance companies, rather than try and do everything like they seem to currently be doing and coming out with all of these individual products under their umbrella, I think we'll start to see them revert back to what their core business is. Because as they integrate AI, whether it could be to help them with service or to help pulling different types of reports and that sense of automation, we'll see about 60% of basic queries go away. So then what does that leave? What is the value add that these companies are now bringing to the table if all of the reporting and management is being taken care of by these algorithms? Well, it's going to be on how can we add to the core offering? How can we provide value? And I think that's where partnering with different fintech companies to come in and say, if it's a bank that wants to offer retirement, well, maybe instead of offering retirement, they'll partner with a fintech that's an expert in wealth tech. And that wealth tech company is going to be able to come in and help, whether it be targeted to a certain generation or in total, to the banking customers. So I think that's the trend that we're going to start seeing, is that we'll see an ecosystem build out within the finance and fintech space as people lean on one another. And I think Deloitte came out with a study that said they're expecting to see about 40% of fintech revenue be based off of partnerships with traditional finance companies.
Wow, that's really big numbers. Should be happy with that, right? Okay, so Atul, how do you envision AI and ML technologies transforming the traditional financial services landscape in the next 3 to 5 years?
I believe the biggest problem with big financial institution is the change management. They have such a big distribution or network. So by the time they are able to train any new technology to the end point of their distribution, the technology is, irrelevant. There is a new technology come into play. So that's why because of this change management issue, they will have to rely on new age companies. So these, concepts like neo banking or neo insurance, these are actually helping to, promote innovation among the bank. And in future, I believe this disruption will keep on, happening. Definitely, there will be better, product offerings by the bank, by the usage of technology. It will improve the customer experience, chatbots and, this process automation things. Today, if you go to a bank, it takes you half an hour to fill a form. But with this robotic processes automation, these menial things can be done immediately, instantly, without wasting any time. So that will provide better customer service, improved ads. Obviously, I believe that these technologies will definitely improve the financial services in future, and will help the financial institutions also to help provide better services to their customers.
In terms of the data privacy and cybersecurity concern, by most of these financial institutions, do you see any problems while dealing with these banks, like as a partnership perspective?
What I have seen in the market is that most of the banks, when they partner with these fintech companies, they follow a sandboxing kind of approach. So without giving any customer's personal information, they try to build technologies, and then when the final product is implemented on their server or maybe in their overall operations, the data is not shared with these fintechs. At least what I have seen in most of the companies. If this kind of practices keep on going, then definitely it will help in preventing data losses, will maintain that data security thing. But I think it's the duty of the regulator, and that's why I said that what these AI and ML technologies are doing, the system behind it should be disclosed to the regulator so that they can keep a watch on these kind of activities. So if this happens, then definitely data security will be kept in check. Otherwise, sure, it's a big issue for the customer. There have been a lot of data losses in the past, and hopefully it don't happen in future.
Now, you touched upon the regulator. Actually, that's another interesting piece. Like, the reason, because no matter how beautiful products that you come up with as a fintech company or as a technology company, but if the regulator is not in line with you, actually, there's no point of bringing those products, right? So, Jonathan, what role do regulatory frameworks play in governing the use of AI, ML, and fintech in the financial sector, and how can regulation keep pace with rapidly evolving technologies?
I think that if we're going to look at what role do regulators have, I think it's going to be a very similar role to the one that they have now. There has to be standardization in the way that data is shared. One of the benefits of being able to use these models is that they have to be trained. So we're able to decide what data that we input, right? And rather than include personal identifiable information, we can include whether it just be binary or a single number, nothing that individually attributes to individuals or businesses that would be shared. So I think it's about making sure that there's somewhat of a consistency on that it's not some fintechs and some financial institutions operate in one way and others in another. So there has to be some sort of standardization for how is data being properly shared, making sure that, if we're looking at Europe, making sure GDPR is upheld, making sure that that is completely compliant on that side. And ultimately, how, consistent penetration tests on where is this being stored? Is it, on hard servers? Is it in the cloud? Is it easily accessible? And who else has access to this? So I think in the sense that regulators are currently functioning right now to make sure that everyone follows a strict set of guidelines to protect not only their client base, but the banks and themselves, I think that's going to be the similar role they have moving forward.
What are the implications of AI and ML in financial decision-making, such as automated trading algorithms and personalized financial services, particularly from the regulation perspective? Because regulations always comes late if you have any innovative stuff, right? Because you cannot wait for innovation to take place and, regulations to be actually laid out before the innovation takes place, So innovation happens first, and then the situation arises that where the regulator perhaps comes up with the regulations, So what do you think, Atul?
Regarding the role of AI in personalization of financial services or financial products, financial services are not...
My question is, what are the implications of AI and ML actually?
Yeah, I'm
financial decision making.
Okay. See, financial products are not something which a person can impulse buy. For example, in our product mortgage, it's a long-term commitment. Means I always say to anyone who's talking to me about it that mortgage is a long-term commitment you are entering into. It's probably the biggest commitment you take in your life after your marriage. Your marriage might not sustain for 15 years, but mortgage will remain for 15 years. Okay. So the thing is, you have to be sure. Now, this kind of decision making, when it comes to an individual, it becomes very difficult for him or her to take a call over there that whether I should buy this product or not. But if you have a machine suggesting you with proper data points that, okay, if you buy this, if you do this investment, or if you buy this product in future, you're going to get benefit with this percentage surety, it will help customer buy easily with confidence. So definitely in investment products, in trading also, with trading algorithms, you can back test it with the data, historical data. You can check what will be the benefit of you can get with that strategy. So people become more confident in buying financial services product. So yeah, definitely AI will help there. And regarding the regulator, I believe that regulators should be conservative, but at the same time should be forward looking. I'm thankful that our regulator RBI has always taken a forward looking stance, and some of the some of the biggest innovations in fintech have come out of India, like UPI, and many other products. So RBI has always taken a stand that they want to implement technology, they want to promote fintech in India, but at the same time they are conservative in their approach, so that it should not harm any particular sector of the society. So yeah, regulators should be conservative but forward looking.
No, it's really good forward-looking, but that also requires a great deal of, dialogues between the constituents or the stakeholders, and stakeholders being like yourself, myself, everybody is a stakeholder in the dialogue when you have new regulations that need to be introduced, right? We have seen actually some of the companies being badly affected because of the regulation changes, that have taken place, It's not that they were bad, like from a regulation perspective, but it's just that they were early in terms of innovating some of the stuff when it comes to financial services. But it's just that when the regulations actually came out, then they were impacted and they had to actually go in stealth mode of their business, So in terms of, Jonathan, in terms of the fintechs, because that's where perhaps you are more connected with, So now, if I may ask you this question, what are some specific use cases where AI and ML can have a significant impact on the financial industry, especially connection with Web3, and offered by the fintechs,
I think where we're going to really see it is from refining raw data and turning that into refined data, right? Tasks that right now you could have internal finance teams that are pulling for, let's say we're talking about quarterly projections. We want to understand what position we're moving in. I think these cyclical reports are going to end very rapidly. I think that as we start to integrate AI, ML, Web3, blockchain, all of these different aspects into certain companies, we're going to have information readily available at any time with specific insights that can be instantly acted upon. So rather than waiting until the end of your quarter to get a full understanding and get someone in finance to look at it and say, well, this is actually how we're trending, you could understand right away in real time, I'm not trending in the right direction. I have to act on this information. So I think that's the direction that we're going in, is we're going to see raw data be refined much faster, be consolidated much faster. I think we're going to see basic customer service cut down, because most people, they don't want to have to go wait on hold for 45 minutes just to answer one quick question. So I think by getting these smart bot agents, obviously properly trained, that will eliminate some of the need for very basic customer service and let the people that are actually having major customer service problems speak to an individual rather than waiting on hold for 30 minutes because you forgot your PIN and you don't know how to reset it online.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess sometimes it's really a pain actually while staying on hold for 30 minutes, and still you've been told it's this virtual assistant is actually going to come and save you for not wasting more time. Atul, how should fintech approach AI and ML to build capabilities for financial services industry? The capability, fintechs. So we're talking about your company, like my company, or any fintechs. How should,
See, first thing is the product recommendation or helping the customer to buy the product, as we discussed earlier. See, again, we are in mortgages. It's a big commitment. So how to make customer, comfortable in buying a product. So we are currently working on a new technology. We want to get it live on our website, where if a customer come to us, we can, tell the customer that, okay, this is the right bank, this is the right product for you. So for that, I believe this AI and ML will be very helpful. And then customer surveys, as you mentioned that, it's very difficult to, keep the phone hold for 30 minutes. So with chatbots, with intelligent bots, you will be able to provide better services to your customers. And it can be a self-service kind of thing. So it will help reduce costs also for the companies, and as well as providing better services to customers. So these are some of the things we keep in mind while building our AI AI technologies for our website.
Jonathan, from a collaboration perspective, purely from fintechs and financial institution, and keeping the AI, ML, and other technologies like blockchain and DL as well in the picture, where do you see a kind of a roadblocks while collaborating with between fintechs and financial institution, be it banks or insurance companies?
Yeah, I think some of the biggest roadblocks is, like Atul mentioned before, these traditional companies, they're so large, they're not quick to adapt, they're not agile. So I think if we're looking at how could they possibly partner with some of these smaller companies that are movers, shakers, quick to adapt change, easy to roll out change, I think most of these companies currently don't have a layout or an org chart that's designed for these rapid changes. So I think by the time they get something kicked off and launched, well, they'll already have a list of everything that they have to change. So I think that as we expand into this age of partnership, it's going to come down to agility. And how can these traditional companies pivot to provide the different types of services that they have to, while maintaining these relationships with different types of fintechs?
Yeah, that's true. In terms of the talent or the cultural intelligence element which exists in different organizations within fintechs and these financial institutions, where you have more senior people sitting in these banks or like insurance companies, and on the other side, perhaps somebody actually was a very young lad, maybe he had some fantastic product idea, he came up with amazing, sort of a solution which could perhaps and definitely solve the real problems, that exist within the financial services industry. So when they interact with each other, do you see any biases there? Well, no, this is a young guy, actually, how come he doesn't have any experience, and we are doing this for maybe last 30 years, how come actually they can actually tell us what to do and how to do?
I believe, financial institutions, people who are sitting at the senior level, they are slightly conservative or pessimist in their approach. They see how the thing can fail. Whereas these young people who are building the technologies, they're quite optimistic. So definitely both have to come to the same platform. And I believe the best way could be that if every financial institution can have a separate unit within their org structure, where they can have incubator kind of thing, or maybe partnership kind of vertical, where they can at least experiment. They can carve out some budget separately every year to work with these new age companies, that, and again, recruit people in that division, maybe ex entrepreneurs, or even failed entrepreneurs will be a good inclusion to those teams. So there it can be a very fruitful kind of collaboration between a traditional company and a new age entrepreneur. And once this collaboration shows results and is going successful, then the financial institution can implement it over the complete company wise, or the overall operations of the institution. That approach should work well, and I believe that's the approach should these financial institutions should take.
Wow, interesting. Jonathan, who do you think is on the list of losing jobs within the financial service industry with the advancement of AI and ML, blockchain and DL?
I think the ones most at risk are going to be most at risk. I would have to say it's people that would be in operational finance, in the sense. So I think people that are really, their sole job is to crunch these numbers, pulling reports. It could be accounts payable, account receivable. I think that is where that we'll see the first bit of cuts. So I think, but as that will decline and definitely get leaner, obviously we'll still need people to consolidate information and make sure that these data systems and algorithms are running properly. But I think people could also just be transitioned to a side that can't really change, which I would argue the tax side, specialized finance, because the one thing about these machine learning algorithms is you have to train them. They take time to upload these data sets. So I don't think they'll ever be at the forefront of this tax information, because the tax code changes depending where you are every single year. So I'm based in Canada. Every single year they add 400 new lines to the tax code. So it's how fast can you train these machines to make sure that gets right? So I think we'll have specialized divisions of finance that will remain the same, will actually grow in importance because that needs human oversight. But I think anything for data preparation, data consolidation, we'll see those jobs be more at risk because it's very simple A/B inputs.
And what should be the way around actually to save these people actually not losing jobs? The reason, because cognitive ability, again, I would touch upon that, actually is something that would move you actually above the AI level, right? And singularity is still far away. Like that's the factor of singularity, which is like, reaching at par by AI and human mindset, right? So still, I would say it's still long way to go, So how can we save these people? I mean, upgrading, upskilling these people within the financial institution. Do you think there's a way?
Yeah, I think it's going to be about, realizing sooner rather than later that these changes are coming and developing an action plan. As we start to bring all of these different types of technology into more traditional environments, there has to be an organization change. It makes no sense that, you could have a traditional bank trying to operate on new technology and at the same time have 4, 5, 6 senior vice presidents to the vice president, and then 13 layers of middle management. So I think that COVID has really helped us advance in that sense of being able to completely change organizations to be more optimized. But I don't think that this is the final stage. So I think it's by realizing that there are changes that are going to be coming and identifying how can we, like you said, use that human mind and what separates us from these different complex algorithms. How can we really take that human connection? Where can we apply that to get the best out of it? So if there's a role that currently is almost strictly data, well, maybe we can transition them to a role where they do have oversight in the sense of a data scientist or a programmer or someone that can at least monitor how this is going while they're teaching and learning this model.
Atul, any final thoughts? We are running out of time, future of financial services with AI, ML, and FinTechs.
I believe that future will be disruptive, and these technologies are gonna improve customer lives, and definitely, people will have to upgrade to it, and this will help promote better inclusion and better services to customers.
Would you like to add something, Jonathan?
No, I think that was very eloquently said. It's coming. There's no stopping it. We've seen just in the past few months how prevalent it is. So I think it's about how can we integrate this safely? How can we integrate this securely? And how can we integrate this in a way that we're not going to have a massive drop off in the employment market? Because I think there's room to transition everyone to those roles. And it's about just planning and having the forethought of how are we going to get there.
Fantastic. I think from my side, actually, I would say while AI, ML, DL, blockchain, all these fantastic technology, they offer numerous benefits, but at the same time, it is also crucial to address the concerns such as ethical consideration, like, in terms of data privacy or cybersecurity concern, that they are very obvious and evident kind of concerns, So striking a balance between innovation and responsible use of these technology will be essential for successful future in financial services. We have 1.5 minutes. Are there any burning questions that someone would like to ask? Any question? No question? We're all good? All right. Thank you very much. Please give a round of applause to our panelists. It was a wonderful session, I guess. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, gentlemen.